Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that really helps to get my channel promoted, and I do appreciate that immensely. I also love it when people leave comments, so things like constructive criticism, if you have a question about the video, how you do things is always interesting, or just suggestions for videos even is good. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think. It's actually Thanksgiving when I'm recording this one, so happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate that. And today I wanted to do something simple because I have to go upstairs and cook dinner pretty soon. So I decided to do a very simple kind of forged bracelet with a single stone on it. And I think it'll be a quick and easy project and probably a good beginner practice project. So you might add that to your list of things to try if you're new to this. Before we get going though, I wanted to thank some groups of people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters and I value them immensely. They're a great group of people with a lot of talent and are super nice, so I really appreciate the culture that they've built over there. It's very nice to hang out with them. I also do appreciate their financial contribution, of course. The other group is my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 16,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you so much for that. I never ever imagined that I would have this many people following me, so thank you. I really do appreciate it. I also do appreciate the nice comments. It's nice to know when people are getting something out of these, so thank you for that. Some are very moving and touching, so thanks. I also wanted to thank you for the super thanks and the buy me a coffees. Those little financial contributions really do help a lot. Materials have gotten crazy expensive, so every little bit helps. Thank you. All right, well, let's get started on this bracelet. This is one of my design idea books that you can get on my merch store. Incidentally, if you're watching this on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, as I'm posting it on Saturday, the weekend of Black Friday, I have a sale on my merch store for 10% off all of my design idea books like this and my ebook, so you can take 10% off. The promo code to get the discount is BF2024, so make sure to type that in when it asks you if you have any promo codes. The other thing is, there's also a small sale on my Patreon too, if you're interested in checking out that community. I have different tiers of membership. All of the tiers are at 20% off the first month's price, so you'll get 20% off whatever it normally is, and then thereafter it'll go back to the regular price. But I'd love to have you check that out too. It's a good deal, and there's a lot of nice people there. So let's see what I have drawn up for today. Okay, so I have this little, where are you? Okay, I have a little emerald cabochon that I bought years ago, and I've been gradually using up the little bag of those that I have, but I think that'll make for a pretty little central stone on this. And what I'm going to do is mostly forging. So I cut this piece of low dome half round number 4. So low dome means it doesn't have a full half of a cylinder. It's kind of flattened out a little bit and wider. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center of this. I'm going to hammer it so that it creates kind of a, I did a little chest hammer here. This is a little piece of the same stuff. So it flattens it out there and spreads out a kind of a flat, wide surface. And I'm thinking, I wasn't thinking this originally, but the more I looked at this, the more I thought it might be cool, is if I took a piece of flat sheet of some sort, maybe 22 gauge, cut kind of a marquee shape and soldered it down on top of that to give it kind of a raised look. That'll serve two purposes. With cuff bracelets, they tend to get flexed and eventually break, so since I'm going to have a thinner spot here, it'll thicken that up a little bit and make it less likely to have that happen in that spot, and make it more close to the thickness that it originally was. And then on the ends here, it'll kind of make some kind of stylized little ends, almost Art Deco-ish or something maybe. So I don't know. I think it'll be cool though. Let's give it a try. First, let's make a bezel for this. I'm going to use 3/16 inch, which is 4.76 millimeters tall. I'll probably end up filing it shorter. And this particular stuff is 26 gauge, which I think is 0.41 millimeters, if I remember. I lost track of it in my head. Okay, so let's give this a try. So first off, I'm going to file the end flat. The other thing I think that'll do is, since we're mounting a bezel on it, that'll prevent it from flexing that bezel much and loosening the stone, and that's always a good thing. This one should involve a little bit of hammering, so it should be helpful for getting rid of all that pent-up anger from your discussion at dinner with your extended family, which is traditional on Thanksgiving, I know. We've all got an Uncle Bob or something who has no filter, right? It's hard to believe I got 16,000 subscribers. I wonder at how many subscribers I have to be in order to become an obnoxious diva sort of YouTuber. Alright, well I have that, so I think I'm going to set that to the side temporarily. Get out my little bench block. And I have chasing hammer. And let's see, where is this? This is that piece of the low dome half round number 4. Let's find the center of that. I cut about a, what was it? So a little more than 15 centimeters. So about 6 inches long if you're using that system. And so let's find that midway point. I'm not 100% sure this is going to work out great, but we'll see. It'll be a Thanksgiving Day experiment. Just like dinner will be. Okay, so now it's time for vigorous hammering. So I'll probably turn the sound down on you. I'm not going to bend it too much there until I anneal it, because that's, by doing that we've work hardened it really seriously. So I may make it just bent enough to where I can use a file and a Dremel to kind of file that flat. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to flare these out, and before I do that, I think I want to round these ends, and then we'll hammer those flat. We'll see if we can kind of get that sort of shape. Well, let's see how it goes. Probably should mark how far I took this one in so I get it pretty symmetrical. I got into, so right below the 94 there. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to clean these up just a little bit with my rotary tool and an abrasive silicone white wheel. So I'll be right back, and then maybe we can cut some pieces of sheet and put them on there. We may have to anneal it first, but we'll see. Don't know if there's enough here for this. I think there will be. This is a little scrap of 22 gauge sheet, as is this, and I think this should be long enough for this. So it's always nice when you can use up some little pieces you have laying around. So from 10, 20, 30, about 34. If I do 34, let's do this. And 20. This thing is just about long enough, so let's mark one here. And then right there. And then how wide is this thing? This is about 6 millimeters. So I'm just going to make a little mark right there. Oh, that's 5. That's 6 right there. So let's just cut that off. And let's try and kind of mark by the center. Let's cut it off to exactly the length. Okay, so we're going kind of like that. This is going to get it pretty close to exactly the same size as that, but then we'll file it shorter. At least that's the plan. Okay, so now we need to do a little bit of filing. First to neaten it up and get it symmetrical. And then we'll reduce it a little bit. It's about as thin as I can go with this thing. It's just filing away. So, but I think that's okay. Let's say let's sweat a little bit of solder on the back of this thing. Let's set it up there and see if we can get it to just kind of sit down. Okay, so I'm going to pre-melt some solder on here. That's called sweat soldering if you're new to this. Here's a piece of advice. If you have a random piece of metal on the table, don't assume it's solder. So, everybody learns that lesson once or twice. So you could just place some pieces of solder on the back of that and then heat it up till it flows if you want to. I'm going to show you how to pick solder here. You just pick up a little bit of solder on the end of your soldering pick and wait until it's about the right temperature and just touch it on there and it should kind of flow. As long as it's hot enough, just kind of jump on there. If you're interested in more about that and why it's a really handy technique, I'll put a link up there for you. I'm going to heat that up a little bit more so you can see the outline better. The trick on this one is going to be there's quite a bit more mass in this band than there is in a little piece of sheet. And so we're going to put most of the heat into the band. I'm going to keep this handy just in case this decides to skate around on there. Sometimes it does when you're soldering surface to surface. take a peek at it and see where we're at. Let's cool it off just a bit and see how it looks. That looks reasonably straight and everything. We'll find out if it's all nice when we go to bend it a little bit. And I think once the flux is gone, it'll be easier to tell. It looks like we got a pretty good seam. Maybe a little bit more there. So I may add a little bit of solder right there when I do these other ones, but I'm going to cut these pieces out of this and we'll see how they look. So I'll be right back. Okay, I've got these kind of positioned how I want them, and I already pre-melted some solder on the back. So let's see if we can get these to stick in the right spot. That's what you get when you mess with something that's pretty close. I think I'm going to leave that be. And we'll take a peek at it and see if it's good or not. So this side's definitely fully down. I think that when I was drying this off, the point caught a little bit of paper towel that I was drying off with. So I may pick a little bit more solder on there just to be safe. And then we'll, I think I'm going to add the bezel after I bend this a little bit, so it's got a slight curve to it. That way when we go to bend the bracelet later, it's not going to distort the bezel too much. So, and I think by adding this sheet, we've preserved the strength of the overall band while giving it kind of a distinctive look. So we'll see. Okay, I'm going to let that clear. clean up a little bit before I do the next step. I'll be right back. Okay, I found the center point of this marquee shape that we soldered on there, and I set the bezel on there. It's not curved enough to where I need to shape the bottom, really, I don't think. So I'm going to cut a little bit of solder, and we'll solder that on there. And after that, let this pickle for a while I go fix dinner. Try to do this without moving this. Just going to throw 2 or 3 of these in there just to make sure we got plenty. And then most of the mass is in the band again, so I'm going to heat that primarily to the very end. Cool it off and make sure we got a good seam all the way around there. And if we do, then I'm going to go make some dinner. So I think we got a good seam all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and pickle it, and then we'll come back and finish it. So I got everything pretty much polished up. I've got the bezel filed down to the size that I want it to be. And I do this a little differently than some people. I use the flat side of my chain nose pliers as a bezel pusher. I'm just going to kind of gently push it in. Once I feel like it's tied up against there, I'm going to use the round, smooth edge of this to kind of burnish that. That's where you rub that top edge. Alright, so the last thing I'll do is probably use the rotary tool with one of those blue silicone polishing wheels to kind of clean up the top of the bezel and everything. But yeah, that's kind of what I had in mind. It's simple but pretty, I think. And it's got a nice little emerald in it. So we'll get that finished up and get some nice pictures taken and put them at the end. Alright. So that was the simple forged bracelet with a little emerald in it. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to remember to hit the like button. That really does help my channel a lot. Comments also help my channel, so if you have a question or a suggestion for a video or any of those kind of things, do leave a comment. I love it. The other thing is, I'd take a moment if I were you and peruse my main channel page. I have over 400 videos now, so there's a huge catalog of content for you to go through. Many projects, lots of technique kind of things, how to do different kinds of clasps, stuff like that. So there's a lot of content here for you to check out. So watch a few of those, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and hit the notification bell so you know when I have a new video out. I do publish them 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So check out the video description down below as well. There's some relevant links. I talked about some of them earlier. There's Patreon, my merch store. You can buy my ebook there. All of those are in the video description, as well as information about the project that we just completed. So thanks for that. Take care. Happy silversmithing.